Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hope we're having a wonderful start to our weekend and hopefully preparing for those of you out into Texas and even portions of Louisiana and Arkansas that are going to be feeling the effects of what is soon to once again be Hurricane Beryl. Now, right now on satellite imagery, obviously not looking nearly as impressive as a couple days ago, especially when we were at Category 5 status over portions of the Caribbean. But don't let your guard down in this storm because it's still got a good 48 hours or so over a very hot Gulf of Mexico. And unfortunately, we're all too familiar with it the past couple of years. These storms really ramping up on approach towards our Gulf Coast states. And unfortunately, this storm looks to do the same, as this is once again, very likely to reach hurricane status, potentially major hurricane status upon landfall, likely somewhere near Corpus Christi or a bit north of there between Corpus Christi and kind of the Houston Bay area or the Galveston Bay area. So again, kind of really narrowing down the track now and that intensity forecast. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Like the video if you like it, and of course, share it with somebody out in Texas that may be affected by this storm. Always good to get the word out and let everyone know what exactly is on the way. Other than that, we're good to go ahead and start, and let's start talking about the storm a little. So, on satellite imagery, again, obviously, this is Beryl. Not the prettiest thing you've ever seen, probably, this morning, but a couple reasons for that. We are still dealing with some shear kind of out this way right now, and that has really wrapped in some dry air into the core of this system. I talked about that a little bit in the past couple of videos. How that was a very real possibility that some of that shear could drag in some dry air, and that's definitely what has happened overnight and really since landfall in the Yucatan yesterday. Now, you will notice this morning we are getting some convective bursts to kind of pop back up here near the center, but it's going to take some time for the storm to reorganize, and I expect really all of today, all of Saturday, we're going to see just kind of a leveled out Beryl as it kind of reorganizes itself up, but then that gives it all day tomorrow before landfall on Monday to really intensify. And I think that's when we're going to get back up into hurricane status, likely probably category 2, maybe category 3 upon landfall early Monday morning. But there is the possibility that, this dry air and shear really holds on a bit longer, and maybe Beryl, only gets back up to about category 1, and we'll obviously be hoping for that. Now, latest data here this morning from the National Hurricane Center. We've got I believe, a 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm with a pressure at 999 millibars. That's slightly stronger pressure-wise than we had overnight, but again, still just a disorganized tropical storm. But again, obviously, that isn't going to stay that way forever. Latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center, again, maintains intensity throughout the day today, and then begins intensifying slowly overnight Saturday into Sunday morning before we're waking up likely tomorrow to a borderline hurricane, and then again all day Sunday likely re-strengthening, and latest forecast is for about landfall somewhere Monday morning or Monday afternoon as a strong category 1 hurricane, borderline category 2 hurricane is the latest thinking from the National Hurricane Center, and then maintains this as a tropical storm into Tuesday morning and even Tuesday afternoon here, throughout portions of Texas. And trust me, even if you're not along the immediate coastline here into Texas, you're going to want to watch this storm all the way up into East Texas, Louisiana, and even portions of Arkansas, where likely an inland tornado threat and flash flooding threat is going to be a concern with this storm system as we continue to track it. Latest spaghetti models, again, really honing in on some pretty good consistency here. I think landfall is most likely, again, just north of Corpus Christi. And sorry, my pen keeps changing sizes here. But again, landfall most likely around the Corpus Christi area, likely a little north of there. But I don't think we're going to track this all the way up into Houston, especially with how weak it is right now. It should get pulled a little bit more westward than northward in the near term. And that, again, will, lead to that landfall, as I mentioned, somewhere in the vicinity of Corpus Christi, and then maybe even kind of up near the San Antonio Bay Area. I think right now is probably most likely a direct landfall there near Port Lavaca. So we'll take a look at a model or two here and give you kind of the latest guidance we're seeing here. But we're really going to dive into local impacts in today's video, as we're getting a lot closer to landfall here, really within the next 48 to kind of 56 hours or so. All right, latest HWRF model from this morning. Again, I think the HWRF has been handling this storm beautifully, so I'm going to show it off. And I think it's handling this current structure of the storm quite well, as well. Again, this is 8 a.m. It's got the pressure about nailed here, and I think it does a good job throughout today. So we'll get into about 8 p.m. tonight. You'll notice, again, here's Beryl, not hard to find on this map. A low 990 millibar tropical storm, and slowly strengthening. So probably about a 10 millibar drop or so throughout the day today as Beryl reorganizes itself. And again, that trend continues overnight. And by the time we're waking up Sunday morning about 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, we're likely getting back near hurricane status. Pressures here, in the 980 millibar to 990 millibar range. Again, knocking on that doorstep back to hurricane status. And then throughout the day Sunday is when Beryl really gets into that next gear and really takes advantage of these very warm sea surface temperatures and weakening shear that will help, prevent some of that dry air getting ingested into the storm. And then here's landfall again, kind of in the San Antonio Bay area of Texas. Going into early Monday morning. This model brings it in about 2 a.m. To 5 a.m. Could be a little bit later than this. This model might be a little quick, but nonetheless, I think it's got the intensity down pretty well. And we'll even zoom this in a little bit for you here into Sunday afternoon. This is the same model I'm showing you, just a more in-depth view looking at some of that convection around the storm and the overall structure. Again, about a 990 millibar storm getting into Sunday afternoon here, and that will be something that continues to be a trend as it strengthens and continues to drop that pressure. And you'll notice impacts on the Texas coastline, I think, are really going to pick up Sunday night. So let me back this up just a little bit. Even into Sunday afternoon, we're getting some of these outer bands to kind of begin to work on into the South Texas coast. And those are going to be feisty with some tropical storm force winds probably. But things really go downhill getting into overnight Sunday and into Monday. This is about that midnight transition from Sunday to Monday. At this point, the eye wall of sorts, beginning to work ashore here again into all of these bays, into San Antonio Bay, into the Corpus Christi Bay, and even potentially up towards the Matagordo Bay. Again, if I'm mispronouncing any of these areas, I do apologize. I'm just a Carolina boy after all. Never been to Texas, but either way, again, definitely let me know in the comments if there's a different way to pronounce these areas. But here we go. Storm really strengthening up now, and then again getting borderline major hurricane status upon landfall here early Monday morning. You'll notice here's that eye wall. Again, kind of working really right over the Corpus Christi area and just north of there. So again, I really think Corpus Christi to kind of Port Lavaca, the Matagordo Bay area, kind of in that range is going to be the most likely landfall. I'll kind of draw it for you here, right in here. I think that's where we're going to see the core of the storm move over. But remember, we're going to get, rotating rain bands and stuff on the edge of this that is going to cause problems storm surge wise for areas even to the north. And then the storm again moves inland, brings all that rain and that tornado threat Monday afternoon. Specifically, look at these squall lines coming in off the Gulf Coast. We're going to have plenty of embedded rotation in there. And that's going to continue throughout the day Monday up the Texas coastline as far inland as maybe the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Heavy rain continuing. Again, still strong gusty winds throughout the day Monday through much of East Texas. And then the wind threat dies down a little bit overnight Monday into Tuesday, but our tornado threat continues. Again, look at this banding. Again, likely some embedded rotation in that through much of East Texas, and then eventually even into Louisiana and Arkansas by the time we're getting into Tuesday and Wednesday. So again, watching out for that as we continue to monitor this storm. All right, so looking at some wind forecasts here, this is from our Canadian model. Actually, again, I think this model's doing pretty well. So I'm not going to show you, every model just to show it to you. I'm going to show you the models I think that are projecting this storm the best, just in terms of, trying to save time here. But again, notice this Canadian model, again, getting into early Monday morning. Here's Beryl, and look at these strong winds. Again, about tropical storm force, but it could be stronger than this, gusting up near hurricane force for Monday morning. And by the time we're getting into Monday afternoon, as landfall arrives on this model, again, this is when the strong hurricane force winds, as well as strong onshore hurricane force winds, really begin again into Port Matagordo and even up into Houston Bay. Again, getting some of these stronger onshore winds that are going to cause problems here. So again, really anybody into the East Texas, or really just the Texas coastline in general, I guess, from Corpus Christi northbound, going to be receiving that strong onshore flow during landfall, and that is going to cause some problems. But again, wind threat is also going to be a problem. Could be gusting even higher than this, so this might be underdone slightly, and I'll show you another model in just a second. But again, strong winds gusting up near 80, maybe 90 miles an hour. And then those winds obviously begin to weaken throughout the day Monday as we get inland, and then that wind field really kind of just falling apart by the time we get into Tuesday afternoon and into Wednesday. Another model I will show you here is the NAM, which is not known for its tropical cyclone abilities, but I think it is actually handling this one pretty well, especially wind gust wise. And so I'll go ahead and show it to you. Landfall here in the NAM, pretty similar. Monday morning, Monday afternoon in that same general area. Winds, though, gusting upwards near 100 miles an hour here. I think that's a more realistic kind of output here towards our beaches here into, again, this area of Texas. Again, Corpus Christi northbound, but south of Houston. Again, kind of Port Matagordo down towards Corpus Christi, as I mentioned. And again, I think the NAM handling this beautifully. Big wind field, winds gusting up towards hurricane strength throughout the day Monday here along the Texas beaches, and even into some more of these inland counties, continuing again throughout the day Monday. Very strong winds, strong onshore flow, and then eventually that wind field getting inland Monday and slowly weakening, although still gusty even up into East Texas throughout the day Monday and overnight into Tuesday. All right, rainfall also going to be a big problem. Half a foot to a foot of rain for a lot of folks here in this area, specifically, especially on the eastern and northeastern side of the storm. Again, I showed you that H-Wharf model with some of that banding coming in off the Gulf. It's going to be a fire hose of moisture here for East Texas, and again, widespread half a foot to a foot of rainfall. Isolated spots, kind of especially in this area, likely to cross a foot. So again, flooding obviously going to be a big time concern that we need to watch out for here with this storm system. Also, storm surge, as I mentioned, latest forecast is up to 5 feet of storm surge from really the Rio Grande, where that enters the Gulf, all the way up to Galveston Bay. But the worst of it, again, I think kind of right in here towards Matagordo Bay and even the northern parts of Corpus Christi, where I think we could be reaching even near or not half a foot, excuse me, 6 feet. 6 is half a dozen, but either way, 6 feet of storm surge could be possible in here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an upgrade to that. Again, for the Matagordo Bay area, again, likely to be the hardest hit with surge just due to location with the current landfall projections. And then also a tornado threat going to be a problem here with this storm system. Again, slight risk already up for Matagordo Bay, Corpus Christi, the Houston area as well. Need to prepare for a tornado threat with this storm system as early as tomorrow. This is for Sunday. And then Monday, we bring that threat inland and through more of East Texas and into Louisiana, where again, isolated tornadoes are going to be a concern. All right, one more thing I did want to mention that for some reason just completely forgot to talk about earlier is we do have hurricane watches from Brownsville all the way up to the southern end of Houston Bay, kind of near Lake Jackson and the Angleton area of Texas. So again, we'll probably get warnings issued by the time we get into tomorrow's video. But again, I never mentioned the fact that we have those watches up, so it's important to talk about. Alrighty, well, with that said, I appreciate y'all watching. Again, if you found some use in it, like the video and comment, let me know where you're watching from, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. We are attempting to get to 10,000 here by the end of hurricane season, and I think that's a pretty manageable goal considering everything we've been able to do over the past year with the channel. Alright, y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.